AOC revealed that she's a victim of sexual assault. She's a survivor, and she recounted the trauma of the Capitol riot on a very long Instagram live, where she said, "I thought everything was over." Now, she was claiming that there were people after her, and she made it sound like she was in the Capitol, and she was recounting the events. Now, I'm not showing violent events, so this is fine, this segment, but everyone believed that this was the truth. And why was she talking about this? She was being politically opportunistic. She was trying to sort of trump up a feeling of hate against Trump and what he did, and inciting violence, and because his impeachment trial's on, as a lot of people know. A day went by, and it turns out that the Capitol is over here, and AOC was actually over here. She was nowhere near the event. And before the rioters were any danger to her, she was in a completely different spot. So she was lying through her teeth. What's going on here? And
she's an actor.
Yeah.
I don't know if people remember this, but it was there was evidence online, YouTube and reports, probably been removed now. But AOC was one of a number of people that answered a casting call. So she was actually, there were a whole bunch of people, they were looking for this archetypal character that could appeal to the masses, that could be fed lines and then allegedly represent their interests. So she's nothing but an actor. That's it. And the evidence was there, the actual... You know, when you do a casting call, they get you to read the lines to see whether you're persuasive or not, right? And there's a series of videos, and she was one of them, reading the lines.
Yeah.
And they decided she's the one. She fits the bill. She's sort of ethnically interesting, so therefore she's the right colour, apparently. That's important. Melanin determines value these days on the left.
For sure.
But she's an actor, so why should anybody be surprised? I mean, nobody believes that Alan Alda from MASH was a doctor. Nobody believes that, what's his name? Played William Wallace, Australian.
Oh, yeah.
American. Mel Gibson. Nobody believes that Mel Gibson can swing a sword.
Yeah.
He's an actor.
Yeah.
They read lines, they perform, and they stir people's souls. Do you know that actors were so reviled at one point in history that they were almost, as an arrest, it was almost an illegal event to be an actor? That's how much they were reviled. But she's an actor, like most of them. And she was specifically selected and trained up to do what she's doing. So Ocasio-Cortez is nothing but a fraud, a massive fraud. And when you said everyone believes her, it's not that they believe her. The news goes out and there's no counter-argument because the mainstream media and big tech won't allow the counter-argument to come up. As you know, they're shutting every counter-argument. So any argument that doesn't get countered is then, by default, the winner.
Yeah.
That's why we push back hard. Someone says something stupid.
Yeah.
I'll push back real hard just to give the people an opportunity to hear the other side. Now, they can believe me or not believe me. That's like that imbecile Justice Burton and his comments about the defence culture, the warrior culture needs to be destroyed. And that pompous ass, I think I called him a pompous ass, and suggested he have a look at the culture of the legal fraternity, which is awash with cocaine and pedophiles. You got to push back. You never let it stand. That's what people never got about Trump. They would say, "Oh, he demeans himself because he answers this nonsense or whatever." No. This is a fight to the death. You don't stand in the ring with your opponent and let him beat the crap out of you for 15 rounds and then smile at the crowd and say, "See, I won because I didn't hit back." No, you win when your opponent is flat on the canvas and barely breathing. That's a win. Now, you can do it in the first round, you do it in the 15th round, but you hit hard, you knock them out, and then it is unequivocal. So everything must be counted. Every claim by the left must be counted. And the reason I'm hot on this one at the moment, I was the unfortunate accident of listening to one of the shock jocks in Sydney recently. And the tidal wave of outright falsehoods that this guy was peddling was incredible, and there was no counter voice, not one. And so the people think, well, it must be true because everyone believes it. Everybody says it. They don't. They don't. Anyway.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
She's an actor. She's a fraud.
Yeah.
And anybody with half a wit can see it.
Yeah. I don't know if she's an actor. I've actually been following her for a very, very long time, since I was progressive when she was first earmarked. It was back when Even Jimmy Dore, you remember Jimmy Dore, the true progressive. Even he helped give her a leg up, and he's very annoyed with her now because she's become very establishment.
She always was establishment, but she's not establishment.
Yeah.
She's deep state establishment.
Yeah, interesting.
She's just another puppet that'll be used like every politician on the planet.
Yeah. I reckon she's like every other politician, but what happened was she was picked up by this organization called the Justice Democrats, which was started by Big Cenk at TYT, and also helped up by true progressives like Jimmy Dore. She got in and she started tasting how sweet the political elite life was like. She started to change on her sort of progressive underroots, and then after that, and then she just sort of went for the these things don't necessarily start.
I don't think she changed. I got to disagree with you.
Okay,
she knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted to be a politician. Now that's a means to an end, not an end. If your end is to be a politician, that's easy. Just take the money, bend over, and away you go. That's a means to an end. And she's achieving exactly what she set out to achieve. I want to be a politician. I want my face on camera. I want. That's why A1's objective is it's to save the country. There's a big difference. What do you want to do? Save the country. And as you know, politics is one of 6 lines of operation, the most visible but the least important. We can save the country and never get one member elected. That's why I'm relaxed about all of this stuff. Can you see the difference about what your intention is? Her intention is transparent.
Yeah.
I want to be a politician. I want my face on TV. I want fame and glory. I told you how you persuade people.
Yeah.
Money, power, sex, money, fame, power, ideology, and then a bunch of nasty stuff.
Yeah.
She fell for the first couple. She didn't need the sex, but the fame and the money. So she's achieved exactly what she intended to achieve.
Yeah, the bartender with an economics degree. Yeah, no, she's so one way or another, she is not in a good place right now, and not many people are very happy with her, except the establishment is, and that's a problem. So we saw the storming of the Capitol on January 5th. I want to talk about the storming of Capitol, which is the GameStop situation. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah, I do. This is
fantastic. You did hear about it?
It's a great story.
Oh,
the GameStop.
You told me you didn't. Yeah,
Where you go?
Let me line it up. Okay, so this is obviously an old story. I really wanted to talk about it 2 weeks ago, but obviously censorship got to us. Now, what happened was a lot of people on this 4 million member Reddit thread where they talk about trading and strategies and all of that. They realize that if they banded together, they can actually cause the establishment sort of like Melvin Capital and all of these big hedge funds a lot of damage. And so what they did was I sort of have to explain what it is. There's this thing called shorting, guys, and I'm not going to talk exactly about the specifics of it, but it's basically when you bet against where a stock is going. So rather than betting, for example, for GameStop, investing in it because you believe in the actual stock, you're betting that by the end of the month, it'll actually be lower than a certain point. Now, if you do that, then there's actually a lot of money in it. Now, a lot of these hedge funds basically they shorted this GameStop stock, and they didn't think that it was going to do very well. So what they did was, they call up their friends in the media, and they sort of write these articles about GameStop doing terrible, and it's on the downward spiral. By the way, GameStop, I think they also own EB Games in Australia, just so you sort of know what they do. They sell video games and video game equipment. Now, what happened was on about January 27th, a lot of these members of this channel on Reddit, for these 4 million members, they realized that, okay, let's try and cause these guys damage by investing in GameStop, because that means these companies will actually lose money, a lot of money on their shorts. And so they did. They invested a lot of money, not a lot on an individual basis. Some of them did, but the majority, it was just a few $100s, but together they did an enormous amount of damage. And so once the hedge funds sort of caught on to what was going on, and the price of GameStop doubled, which is completely overvalued.
Just quick jump in. Sure. It also triggers algorithms.
Yeah, it does.
Volume will trigger algorithms.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just the broker watching the price saying, oh my God, we must. No. They're using their own weapon against it, but go on, I'll jump in a second.
You're right. They have preset.
That's it.
They have preset digits where if GameStop, for example, and I would, if I were just watching this, if GameStop went over $200 a share, I would definitely see that as a wall and I would buy in a ton. So in order to cover their losses, GameStop ended up having to buy in to cover their losses. So it even spurred the price up even further, and it almost got as high as 500 at one point. Even farther. And this is how I know Elon Musk isn't an establishment guy. Even Elon Musk was getting on board. I'll challenge
you on that one, but go on. We'll talk about Musk.
But even Elon Musk was spurring it on and getting on the bandwagon, and also. We had other people like Jordan Belfort from who's been dubbed the Wolf of Wall Street. He said, "We're not effing leaving. Hold the line." And it's really entertaining to watch this because a lot of it, I think not. Was it 50%? I think it was 50% of these accounts on Robinhood being a shares sort of a place you can trade. And they had 50% of their members who actually owned GameStop. And so what happened was all these members on this channel, these 4 million members on this Reddit thread, they were going through these lists of shorts, including Nokia, including GameStop, and they were just buying shares in all of these companies just to hurt these hedge funds. And so it was the storming of capital.
This is, you don't understand that the market's utterly manipulated. When people say capitalism is the best system for underpinning a market economy and then you balance it with political wisdom, that's correct. Whenever you see massive fortunes being made and massive people being damaged, it's not capitalism. It's cronyism. This is manipulation of the market by the big players. So, but they love using it as a stick to smash capitalism. Therefore, let's control the people because they're too stupid to know what to do with their own money. Point number one. So, all markets are manipulated, and you don't have to believe me. Just do your own bloody research, and I mean it. The crash of '29, the Great Depression, was utterly manipulated. And the congressional records from the US demonstrated with their own statements, their own investigations, it was intentionally done. They allowed everybody to get in. The big players pulled out, and then the banks shut down, and they shut down the banks. Now, by 32, Roosevelt was about to come in, and it looks like that was going to recover quite well. And then they got Roosevelt in, and Roosevelt made sure that they continued the depression by government interference in the system. The pain had already been experienced, and crashes aren't unusual. It's the depth and longevity of the crash which people believe is beyond our control. No, a crash will last 1, 2, 3 years depending on the severity. But what happens is the big players manipulate the market to a point of to overinflation, the bubble, and then they allow it to crash. Now they win, shorting and longing various stocks, and they buy for pennies on the dollar that which a few weeks ago would have cost a lot. They buy for virtually nothing. Now this is an old strategy that's been done since Mayer de Rothschild did it to the Bank of England a long time ago. Do your research, folks. So this was basically, and Robinhood's a great name. This is the GameStop people and the Reddit crowd. Saying, no, we can fight back because we know how it works. So they triggered the algorithms and they damaged the hedge funds. But it wasn't because they had an intent to damage the hedge funds. They were protecting themselves against a move by the hedge funds because the hedge funds will do this. They will inflate and crash, and they make money top and bottom. They make money. Right. A smart trader will make money on a downward market and a bear market, and in an upward market, a bull market. Makes money either way. And so they don't worry about it, but they manipulate it. And this isn't the first time this was tried. This was tried some years ago by another group. They didn't quite have the systems in place or the understanding amongst them. So no, this was a joy to watch the hedge funds. And that picture, you've got a picture of the little girl hiding under the desk. Have you got that one?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
The Robinhood traders with $600 stimmy checks.
That's it.
And the hedge funds hiding under the desk.
And this was just, and I'm not suggesting this is going to last long. It's going to happen again because the hedge funds are powerful and they will destroy. Yeah. But for a brief moment, it was people power taking on the big money.
And this is the thing. It's the latest iteration of populism basically rising up. And people keep saying it's, a right-wing populist thing. It's not. It transcends political lines. It really does. And just to close off the timeline, on January 28th, by about 48 hours after, the shares plunged as they were starting to spike again, because a lot of these platforms and brokers, they ended up suspending or restricting trading, so you could only sell. And that included Robinhood. And Robinhood was put under such strain that they ended up lifting their restrictions 24 hours later. But
look at the price at which it started and which the price it finished.
Like,
happy days. Now that's a win. Now no win lasts forever. Expect the counterattack. Okay,
absolutely.
But that was a joy to behold.
It really was. And the funny thing is, if you think this is the end now with 600 stimmy checks, wait till the $1,400 stimmy checks arrive. People are willing to spend that kind of money to burn the system down.
And this speaks to the point you just made. This is populism. People should be free, and this is political freedom. And Australia one's big on political freedom, and we really are. Small government, minimal interference. It's your money, it's your life. Within the bounds of, obviously, don't interfere with other people, don't cause them pain. But if what you're doing is legal and reasonable, go for it. It's your choice. Live your life the way you want to live it, and whether it's trading stocks, whatever the hell it is. Political freedom is paramount, and that's when they start calling it populism as if this is some crime against humanity. Get one of these imbeciles on mainstream media to define populism, and they can't. Right? But this is political freedom. You should have the right to earn your money and spend your money the way you want. Now, if you want to buy and sell stocks all day, fill your boots. You want to stick it in your mattress, fill your boots. Makes no difference. Leave the people alone. Get off their back. Because I guarantee you, the moment we get into power, and we take the shackles off the people by giving back their money, we cut taxes to just absolute minimum we need, give it back to them. You watch the Australian economy take off like a rocket. And it's an economy that the world hasn't seen since the United States took off. It'll be less brutal though, because it was a tough time in the early days of the US with that massive individual freedom, but there was a high cost in human terms, which these days we don't accept as acceptable.
You're saying late 1800s?
Yeah. That was a brutal time.
Yeah, it was.
It was like the Industrial Revolution in England. You get these imbeciles that say, yes, free market economy, absolutely.
Kids working in coal mines.
Say the elephants as they dance around the chickens, and kids in coal mines, and kids dying in chimneys because they're chimney sweeps and stuff like that, but it was okay because the economy grew. Please. We've evolved beyond that. Yes, we want as much freedom as possible, but not to the point where the people are crushed. Because human nature is not a nice thing. It has the capacity for great kindness. It also has the capacity for great brutality. And that's where a wise, small p political leadership of a country keeps us balanced. And as my father once said, when I was asking him about what left and right meant a long time ago as a little boy, and he said, well, what's more important in a car, the brake or the accelerator? And I said, well, both. It depends if you're going uphill or downhill. I said, good. He said, and you need a steering wheel? I said, yeah. He said, of course you do. That's politics. You got to steer, you got to accelerate, you got to brake. As long as you do it within the bounds of freedom of the people, it's fine. And the Australian economy has never seen this. The Australian people, certainly in the last 50 years, haven't seen it. Because in the first half of the 20th century, in the middle particularly, this is the golden era. We rode on the sheep's back because our wool exports were so successful. It was massive. It's like our iron ore exports now, except now we're selling to crooks. But it's the same thing. The economy will take off with such speed that people won't believe how good life can be, because they have been crushed to the point where they think life is intrinsically difficult. No, it's been made intrinsically difficult. The globalists have crushed the middle class. They've made it difficult to get ahead. They've made it impossible for a parent to stay at home to raise the kids, which is the best place for a kid to be raised, by their own parents. They've made it impossible. They think this is normal and natural, but it's not. It is anything but. It is absurd, it is wrong, and we can do a whole lot better.
But you do see why I make these comparisons between you and a guy like Jimmy Dore. I keep using him because our audience can only retain so many American progressives in their mind. But Jimmy's a great example. He talks about crony capitalism all the time. Crony capitalism. Big Wall Street bankers trying to screw the little guy. And you sound exactly the same.
That's because the truth is the truth is the truth. And because people are busy, they get this capitalism this and socialism that. You only got two choices. No. Just think about it. And that's why, once again, for the people new to the show, it's not about left and right, it's about right and wrong. And once you get your philosophy right, once you understand who you are, where you're going and why, every decision is simple. What do we do here? I'll give you an example. I spoke about it some time back when Trump directly interfered in with the stimulus. He borrowed a ton of money and shoved the money right to the people. Now, Milton Friedman fans would be wetting their big boy pants because the government shouldn't interfere. Well, really, you have got these malevolent forces that are crushing the people. Of course, it's a government's job to do it. And the reason it worked was it wasn't just borrowing a ton of money and giving it to the banks like Obambi did. No. Trump borrowed the money and gave it straight to the people. So he kept the real economy going, and the false economy didn't get it. And that's why it was an intelligent and appropriate government intervention into what would be called a socialistic approach. It had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Because we are not facing market forces. We are facing sociopaths with financial and military power at their fingertips that would make a Roman emperor weep with envy. People have to understand that we are not fighting what they think we are fighting. They are getting us to fight ourselves.
Yeah. It's very frustrating. He was trying to give them $2,000 in stimulus checks, yet they were more interested in giving foreign countries money, and I went through when you were gone with Romeo on the money they were giving. What was it? Hundreds of millions of dollars to Pakistan for their gender, education programs. It's like, come on, guys.
Oh, man.
Like, did you know that the money that the total amount of money that stimulus payment, the last one before Trump got in, the $600 stimmy checks which just arrived, that if they used all of the money, it would have been $2,600 for every American, not $600. So where did the $2,000 per American go? It went to all these other countries.
And that's the purpose, and I've been saying it again. The only purpose of politicians and governments is to take money out of the pockets of the working people and handing it to the people who are backing them.
Yeah,
it's just a transfer of funds. It's a wealth transfer, and every politician's job is to transfer it from your pocket to some crook somewhere else.
Yeah, $6 million to former presidents.
Can you imagine a politician had to approach this job and understand there's a massive element of service to it? You don't get rich in politics. You shouldn't get rich in politics.
Yeah, Trump donated
It's service.
paycheck.
It is service to the people.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about it. Term limits, absolutely mandatory. I don't care how heroic you are. Once you're done, get out. It's breathtaking the way they get on with it. But anyway, they just want to hand over money. They hand over your money to somebody else.